Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Vivek Ramaswamy, and I want to talk about where he can save us from our own cultural decisions. So I find it really fascinating just to determine exactly where Vivek Ramaswamy has power right now. And one, I think there's a lot of people who are highly attracted to running for president because it very legitimately extends power in shocking and surprising ways. Um, and so one of the things, and he can communicate, hey, I'm going, the moment the day one discussion, right? What happens on day one, right? And so what I want to talk about today is Vivek Ramaswamy taking action to save us from a massive cultural mistake that is being perpetrated by the American Ornithological Society. So, if you don't know, the American Ornithological Society is the society that oversees birding, right? So, birding is a huge activity in America. I am a birder. I know what a passerine is, right? That's a perching bird, right? And I know that there are 965, birds in the American lexicon, and they all have brilliant, beautiful names, and those names have been earned and set forward based on different patterns in our society, right? And birding is, by the way, I know how the difference between sighting a bird and identifying a bird, totally different things, right? So one of the things I think is really fascinating is just the American Ornithological Society has just announced a major problem. So what they've announced is there are right now hundreds of birds that have names based off of the people who discovered them, right? First to sight them, first to identify them. Sighting is seeing a bird, identifying a bird. You don't need to see a bird to identify. So sighting is a bird is seeing the bird, right? And then identifying it is going through a checklist and saying, okay, here's its length, here's its feather pattern, and here's the bird call I heard, right? So this is the identification of that bird. So sighting is seeing it, and you observe it, and you write down parameters, and you capture it. But then identifying it is a separate activity and saying, okay, this is the bird I saw, and you identify the bird. But what's interesting is the people who first sight a bird or first and then identify that bird are given this glory name, right? They're saying, "Hey, you were the first to find this bird. You did the work. You went out and you actually identified this bird first and said, we've never seen this in America before, and your last name is going to be attached to this bird because you were the first to identify it, the first to sight it." And what the American Ornithological Society has said is, we're going to remove all birds that have been named after the people who discovered them, right? And we're going to take away those glory names, right? And those people are being given glory because they did the work, right? They did the adventuring. They did the long haul. They went to places, sat in a marsh, and they did the work you didn't do, right? So they deserve the glory of the find. But the American Ornithological Society said, hey, there's a few people who discovered birds who did bad things. But because there's a few people who did bad things, we're going to take the glory away from everyone, right? Now, this is an astronomically bad idea, right? It's just shockingly bad, right? So it's foolish. Only a fool would choose to go down this road. And the reason why is it harms all of American society. This is incredibly destructive to American society. Why, right? Because it says if you're a scientist, if you're an astronomer, if you are an ornithologist, right? If you are anyone who is ready, capable, and willing to go take a risk, you get nothing, right? They're saying you did the work that others didn't, but rather than giving you the glory, no glory is going to be given to you. So go make the next Uber. Go make the next DoorDash, right? Go find some sad sack, horrible, ignoble purpose and just labor for money. Because The glory that has been attached to science, the glory that has been attached to astronomy, the glory that has been attached to ornithology dies here. You see the problem, right? That is horrendous. That is destructive, right? It says that you only labor for dollars, right? And people who wish to serve American society, they're telling them, we will literally not honor your work. Only money matters. It is the most horrific, most selfish, most uh, destructive decision that I have witnessed by any society, by any American society in 2023. It is outrageously destructive, outrageously selfish, and guarantees that all of America will have worse science, worse astronomy, worse, pharmacology, worst everything, right? Because they're saying the people who wanted to do it so they would be honored, we do not want you to labor for the more valuable things of life. Glory is worth more. 1 ounce of glory is worth all the money in the world, right? And they're saying, no, mercenary everything for America. And only the most mercenary, horrible, money-motivated people will ever solve it, will ever cure a disease. Guess what? They are literally dooming people because people are not motivated by money. They are far more powerfully motivated by glory, especially the best humans, right? Only the worst humans are motivated by the American dollar, right? And the best of us are motivated by glory, right? A noble purpose, right? To be remembered, right? And there saying, no. All science of every type is to be mercenary, right? So we need to be rescued from this foolishness, right? So how should Vivek Ramaswamy promise to rescue us from this foolishness? Well, one, I've talked about the Department of Hollywood, and I think that's a really good idea, and I think it's a really good way to manage a problem we have with Hollywood, right? But he can't do that with everything. He can't just executive summary, executive order everything, right? But he can use diplomacy, and he can use the power of the office, right? So he could promise that on day one, he will call in the head of the American Ornithological Society and tell him, as president, I am formally requesting you to table this. This is a bad idea. It's bad for America. It's bad for you. It's bad for me. I'm asking respectfully, right, that you do the right thing and you table this. And I think that's all that would be necessary, right? Who's the head of the American Ornithological Society? You don't know, and I don't know, because that guy don't matter, and that woman don't matter compared to the president, right? The president gets what the president wants, right? And the reality is, I think the request alone would be enough to shut down this foolishness. So that's what Vivek Ramaswamy should do. He should say, listen, I do not want all of American science, all of American nobility reduced to mercenary work. Shut this down, please, right? And he should say, please, right? He says, I respect you and your leadership, but this is the President of the United States of America on day one of his administration asking you for a favor. Are you going to give it, right? Now, if the American Ornithological Society head says no, which I think there's only a 1% chance of, then you formulate a new plan, right? And the Vivek Ramaswamy would take whatever action was necessary to make sure that what he needed done gets done. But I don't think that would be necessary. I think a request from the presidency still in America has enough power to handle the problem. Every single word of that is my opinion on what Vivek Ramaswamy should do. What's important is when I hear what you think Vivek Ramaswamy should do on this terrible, catastrophic problem that is heading toward America. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.